What's up guys, Gary here with Selftaughtdev. Welcome to my JavaScript tutorial series. In this video, we are going to go over variables and console logging stuff, making stuff show up in the console. So first thing you need to know, JavaScript and Java are not the same. They are two different languages. Don't get those mixed up. That is a big sign that you are new, and don't get them mixed up. I can't tell you how many people come into Discord asking questions about Java when they mean JavaScript. They're not the same. JavaScript is named similarly as a marketing ploy to capitalize on Java's widespread use, or that's why it was named JavaScript, and it worked. I mean, JavaScript's pretty big now. So there's that. Secondly, I recommend having a notebook and a pencil during these tutorials and just taking notes. Obviously write your code on the computer, but write down Java not equal to JavaScript, or write down how to declare variables or how to define functions or how to console log stuff. That way, when we get to the exercises, you won't have to go back and watch videos 1, 2, and 3 again. You can just look back at your notes and say, okay, cool, that's how I write a variable, that's how I write a function, that's how I console log stuff. It'll make it easier for you, and writing stuff down will help drill it down into your head better. Now, we're going to use a site called repelit.com or repelit.com. Yeah, I will have a link for this site in the description. Fun fact, REPL stands for read, evaluate, print, loop. Just a cool little fact, not particularly relevant in JavaScript, but that's what it stands for. So go to this site, click on Start Coding, and create an account here. After you've got that done, it should bring you to a home page that looks like this. We're gonna click on the plus icon, go down to JavaScript. The name of your REPL is not particularly important, but we're going to click on Create REPL. And now we can write JavaScript on this side, press the play button, and it will execute in our console over here. Now, this is how you write a JavaScript file name. You'll use the .js extension for JavaScript, and that basically just tells the browser, hey, this is a JavaScript file, and you should execute it as such. The name can be whatever you want. If you're on REPL, it needs to be index.js, because when you press play, it looks for a file called index.js and executes that. If you name this like Blue Rainbow, it'll complain that there's not an index file to run. So don't change the name in this one, but generally you can name it whatever you want as long as you're not on REPL. So how do we write variables? What even is a variable? Hopefully you've done some algebraic math before and you know that 1 plus x equals 5. X is the variable, and we are trying to solve for x. In code, you're not solving for x. You're basically telling the computer, hey, x is equal to 4, or x is equal to 6, or x is equal to whatever number we want it to be, or whatever string or Boolean we want it to be. We'll get into strings and Booleans in our next lesson. For this one, we're just gonna focus on numbers. Now, how do we actually declare a variable? We're gonna say var x equals 5. So we are saying we want to declare a variable, or define a variable. It's gonna be, the name is gonna be x. So the name can be whatever you want it to be. We're just gonna use x. And typically you want your variable name to be something related to what's actually stored inside. So this is a number. You don't want this to be called first name. You would like it to be something like num for number. Because if it's called first name, then you're probably gonna expect a first name to be stored in there, not a number. And it's just good for readability to have your variable names somewhat related to what is stored inside of them. But that is how we declare a variable. So now, whenever we run it, JavaScript will store the number 5 under num in our memory. Now, how do we console log stuff? How do we actually make stuff show up in our console here? We're going to say console.log, and then whatever we put in between these parentheses here is going to show up in the console. So if we say num, it's going to run console log and look up num from memory, and it's going to see that num is equal to 5, so it'll console log 5. If we press play here, we get 5. If we change this to, let's say, like this number and press play, now it is equal to that number. So that's how we define a variable, and this is how we console log stuff. Now you can do basic math operations like plus, minus, multiply, divide. So for your challenge on this lesson, I want you to define 2 variables. So one called x and then one called y, set them to 2 numbers. And then I want you to console log x plus y, x minus y, x multiplied by y, and x divided by y. So you can just do plus and then your other variable. Except you're gonna do that 4 times for plus, minus, multiply, and divide. And you're just gonna have 2 variables. And then you're gonna press play to execute the code. And then you're going to grab a screen grab, or you're gonna use snipping tool, whatever tool you want to grab a picture of that. You should have the 4 numbers logged out here. Copy that and post it in Discord in JavaScript Challenge 1 to show that you have completed this challenge. If you need a link to the Discord is in the description. Go join that. You can ask questions to me and other developers, or if you run into any problems with this in particular, you can post in the JavaScript questions section and get help with that. Or feel free to post in the comments below. But to finish the challenge, gotta come join Discord and post this picture in there in JavaScript Challenge 1. So I think that's about it for this one. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything like that, like I said, let me know in the comments or come join Discord and ask in there. Give me a thumbs up if this helped you out, if you feel like this is benefiting you and want me to continue making these tutorials. And I will see you next time. Peace.